Okay, guys. So, for today, we'll hopefully not have much homework because I really believe this is kind of easy, but you can kind of tell me if you remember. Does anybody know the three undefined terms in geometry? Nobody? Three undefined terms. There you have it. Point, line, and plane. All right. Now, it is, I always tell everybody in geometry, the hardest part for me when I was taking geometry was when the professor said points, lines, and planes don't have really any definition. All right. There's no way to define what a point is. All right. And there's really no way to define what a line is. And there's really no way to define what a plane is. Then everything in geometry is based off, guess what, three terms? Points, lines, and planes. That's correct. So I was really confused. We don't even know what a point, a line, and a plane is. We can really only describe it. We can't really define it. And let me give you an example of that. So most people would say this point, right? That's a point. But if you want, do you agree we could just keep making it smaller and smaller and smaller? So, right? A point is just essentially describing a location. All right. But there's no width, there's no depth, there's no height, right? So that's why it's difficult. In geometry, we have things called postulates and we have things called theorems. Postulates is what you just have to accept as true because I tell you it's true. All right. There's no way to prove it. All right. Theorems are actually things that we can prove that are true. And we'll spend the first semester writing a bunch of proofs. All right. Which is why everybody says geometry is so much harder because it's not just algebra anymore. There's writing, we're going to be discussing shapes and figuring out why it's a triangle or why it's not a triangle, or we'll be proving the Pythagorean theorem or doing lots of different things. That's why some people say geometry is harder. And with geometry is visual. All right. And some of you are good at visual and some of you are not. Generally, the people that are good at visual find it what? Easy. Or if you can see figures in your head, geometry is much easier. If you cannot see figures in your head, then it's much more difficult. But I know that with practice, if you're not good with the visual, you can what? Become visual. All right. But that requires you to draw things out. All right. And again, geometry is more difficult because you got to look at all the different possibilities. That's another thing that makes it more difficult. All right. So there's an example of a point. All right. And again, we'll do an example of a line. All right. It extends indefinitely in both directions, right? And we'll talk more about it, but there's at least what? 2 points on every line. There's at least 2 points on every line. But we actually say there's what? Infinite number of points on the line. All right. Because it's just a collection of what? It's just a collection. You're right. All right. So there's at least 2 points on every line. All right. We'll get into more details on that. And then a plane. All right. Generally in geometry, we define a plane using a parallelogram. All right. And generally we put it in some capital italicized letters. All right. And you'll see that. All right. A line is generally done with 2 capital letters. All right. And a single point is just 1 capital letter, obviously. All right. So again, on every single test, I'll say, what are the 3 undefined terms? And then you will be able to tell me points, lines, and planes. No way to define them. All right. They're just observations. All right. Now, collinear and coplanar are next to important definitions. All right. Now, collinear just means what? Points that are on the same line. All right. Now I always tell kids that's kind of easy because the root word is line, right? So same line, that's literally what it means. And coplanar just means what? Same plane. That's how easy. Don't make it difficult. I'll be asking you questions all the time about collinear and coplanar. All right. And you'll have to be able to tell me the difference. All right. Now here's the first little thing I remember as being interesting to me was space is defined. Right. And space is defined as a boundless three-dimensional set of all points. It contains lines and planes. All right. Now, throughout the year, I will just tell you this is something you just have to accept as true. All right. There's just nothing I can do to help you understand it better. You have to understand that that's true. And so, of course, I took geometry. What is that? Oh, that's the thing to go to class. All right. But we're already in class, so we're good. Yes, we started early. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So the first thing, hello. How are you today? Oh, you're the nicest kid in the whole world. Thank you very much. Oh, I'd love to have one. Don't give one to
Is there an Oliver Bailey here for the rest of these donuts? I have a delivery.
what?
Would you like the rest of the donuts? Anyone want them?
No, here, just send them here. We'll pass them
There's
on.
no way that I'm gonna give any of you them.
Oh, that's oh, I like that. Oh. Thank you, Palmer. Wow. That took a lot of guts for a seventh grader to come in and wow, that's gutsy. All right, I like that kid. All right. Space. Back to what I was trying to say. Space is defined using the what? The undefined terms. So it didn't make sense to me. And those are kind of the things that you have to come to grips with. All right. Space is defined using the undefined terms. All right. So to me, it didn't make any sense. But once you understand, it's talking mostly just about observations. That's what I try to tell kids. All right. A point is an observation, line is an observation, plane is an observation, space is an observation. All right. It's very hard to define. Now, for example, one here. Use the figure to name each of the following. A line containing point A. So we always define a line using 2 points. So we could call the line containing point A what? Very good. So you could write it as AC. So let's go ahead and do that. And notice I have to put the little line symbol up top. I could also call it what? A what? Yes. Or I could also call it what? BC. Now, is CA the same as AC? Yeah, so you don't have to do that. Now, what's the other name? Or what's the other way you could write that line? And which I will never do, but they sometimes do. You could call it line what? L. Lowercase italicized letter is also a symbol for line. All right, that's never going to be on the test, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, but those just like the formal stuff. All right. Now, what is a plane containing point D? We could call it line N, right? Or not line, but plane N. So if I copy that and paste it, notice it's an italicized letter N. Do you agree? Right. But the other way we could name it is we could just say that it is plane. And then you name it with 3 non-collinear points. So you could say plane A, B, D. Now I'm going to say not plane ABC. Why can I not name it plane ABC? They're collinear. That's correct. Does that line right there determine the plane? Does the line determine the plane? No, because technically we could draw a plane like this. Oh, that's not very good, but you can try to see what I was trying to do there. There's another plane that could go through that way. Does everybody see that vertically? And again, I understand when some of you are looking at me like, what are you talking about? It's the visual part that I'm trying to show you. All right, which is more kind of what I'm talking about. This is obviously a better picture down here. I can't just say plane AB, right? Because plane AB is in how many planes just there? Just 3 right there. But there's actually how many? An infinite number of planes that go through that line, right? So if you want to describe a plane, you have to name it with 3 non-collinear points. 3 non-collinear points determine a plane. All right, so hopefully you made that note. All right, so let's look at example number 2. 2 planes, they always intersect and form a what? They form a line. Thank you, whoever said that. The intersection is a line. So those 2 planes intersect at what line? AB. Does AB intersect point D? No. All right, again, that's visual. All right, let's flip the page. All right, here we go. Now, this should be much easier now that we've gone through that explanation. Name a line that contains point A. AC, I'm happy with that. What is another name for line MBD? Put the line symbol on top. Name a point not on AC. D. We could say what? E. Could we say P? No, that's the plane. All right. M and L. All right. Be careful with that too, right? Those describe the line because they're italicized. What is another name for line L? Yep. And you can say AB if you want. All right, there's generally more than one answer. Name a point not on line L or line M. E, I told you this is simple. Okay, now we're going to try to draw a few things. This is what's difficult. Well, some of them are. Draw and label a figure displaying each relationship given in exercise 6 through 10. We want to draw line AB in plane Q. All right, so to draw a plane, that would be the first thing. Plane is generally done with a parallelogram. And then you can put Q. And then we're just doing however you want to draw the line and putting a couple points on it, and A and B. Nothing to it. All right, everybody can draw ST and AB that intersect at P. So draw 2 lines that intersect at P. I believe it. Wow. Make sure you label it. This right here. That right there.
Oh, it's a key?
Point X is collinear with AP. Does it say where X goes?
No.
No, it doesn't matter. Point Y is not collinear. Push. All right, so Y is not collinear with TP. And then, of course, line L contains points X, Y. No, my lines have arrows at the end. All right. I agree. Simple, simple, simple. All right, everyone, I'm sure already knew that. All right, here we go. Now, I was not aware of this, but some people didn't understand what the dotted line means. What does that dotted line mean? Anybody tell me? It's supposed to be what you can't see, right? They're trying to draw a three-dimensional shape, right? On what? 2 dimensions. So it's difficult to draw 3 dimensions, right? On 2 dimensions. Everybody agree with that? So that part, the dotted line is like supposed to be underneath the plane that you can't see. All right, is everybody with me on that? Everybody's good? All right, so here we go. Name the intersection of plane N and line AE. What is it? B, I agree. Now remember, if you can't see or you don't know, all right, you might as well speak up now. Everybody's okay? All right. Name the intersection of BC and DC. C. Right. And again, sometimes I tell kids just draw it out. For example, here is this line right here. And then you have this line right here. And the intersection is obvious now. All right. Does DC intersect AE?
No.
Now, see, this is where people have trouble, right? It's definitely no. Right. It's definitely no. Right. Right. So listen. Just relax for a minute. Hey, come on. Let's start out. Let's not be goofballs the first day. All right. This right here, all right, is a line that goes through that plane, right? So it goes through at this point right here. There's no way CD can intersect that line. Those of you guys who think it intersects at this point right here are thinking in 2 dimensions and not 3 dimensions. All right. Does that make sense now or not?
Well, why can't it just go through 2 lines?
Why can't it go through 2 lines? Because it doesn't.
Okay.
Right? If it was, if I was drawing a plane this way and there was this, and this, right? This intersects at both points. I agree. But that's not what this is saying. It's like this. This right here, line goes this way on top of the box, and HE goes up this way.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? HE does not touch BG.
Alright,
You agree with that?
yeah.
All right, and that's what kind of helped me out a lot is always drawing boxes out. It was kind of helpful for me. All right, then I could see a little bit better. All right, so again, does DC intersect AE?
No.
No. All right, and again, that's a common mistake. All right, that's a common mistake in geometry. All right, so let's look at 14 through 16. Now, line segments are not lines, obviously, right? Line segments are part of a what? Line. All right, it's part of a line. So name the 3 line segments that intersect at point A. So here is A over here. So I'm looking at what? AB, AG, and AD. All right.
We read like AG.
Yeah, so very good. So AD now would be this, right? AG, it's a segment, so there's no arrows.
Oh,
All right, so there's no arrows. That's the difference between a line and a line segment. Name the line of intersection of planes GAB. Now, this is what I was trying to tell kids. To me, it was easier just to visualize and then draw it if you can't see it. GAB is what plane on the box? The top. Does everybody agree with that? GAB is the top. What is FEH? FEH. I say there's a right side, there's a left side, there's a front side, there's a back side, there's an upside, and there's a bottom. All right. So GAB is what? The top. FEH is the what? The front. So everybody agree. And again, if you ever have trouble, you just highlight it. Notice plane is listed with how many letters? 3. And then you highlight FEH. And then you can draw, or you should be able to then see the intersection. And the intersection is just what? Thank you, GH. The intersection is GH. And they're actually wanting you to say it's a line, so I'm going to put a line there.
even though H is below G.
I don't know what you mean, H is below G.
Well, because like. Never mind.
Oh, he is right, actually. No, he's not.
Yes.
Here it is. H is this point right here. That's what I was thinking. D is this point down here. I is the point in the middle.
Oh.
All right. So just be careful. Right, it's very tricky if you're not careful. All right. Do planes GFE, which is what plane? The front. And HBC intersect.
HE.
Now, again, for those of you guys who have a hard time, and I'm not criticizing, I'm simply telling you I understand, right? There's no reason to make mistakes on these. The reason is because if you can't just look at it and visualize it, just draw it out. So GFE is talking about this plane right here. Does everybody agree? And HBC, so I'm going to find HBC. HBC is this plane. Do they intersect? Yeah. Their intersection is what? HE, you could say HI, you could say IE. There's 3 letters there. All right. So it's up to you how you want to call it, but I'm going to say it's HE, and planes intersect and form a line. All right. So technically they want you to write HE. If you wrote HE with just a bar over the top of it, I wouldn't care. All right. Okay, let's look at 33 for a quick second. All right, a line contains -4, -4, and 2, 3. Let's go ahead and draw that in. See if you remember how to plot a point. All right. So there's your line. Line Q is in the same coordinate plane, does not intersect LM. Line Q is in the same coordinate plane, but does not intersect LM. Line Q contains point M.
What's the coordinate plane?
This is the coordinate plane. So now you have to draw, right? Line Q, all right, in the same coordinate plane, but does not intersect.
Does it have to be parallel?
So then that has to be what?
Parallel.
It has to be parallel. And from last year, can anybody tell me about the slopes of parallel lines? They are the same. Thank you. So it doesn't matter what you call point N. That's point N, and then this is Q. All right, then you would label this L, M.
Does that have 2 points?
The line is defined with Q.
Oh.
All right. Doesn't matter where you put it. No, it doesn't have to be like mine. Right. You could put it up here somewhere, wherever you want. As long as it's parallel, it has N, and you have a Q next to it, you're in good shape. All right, let's go down a little bit. All right, someone who's thinking now, how many planes do you see there? How many planes? Most answers are 6 or 7. What's the correct answer?
7.
Most definitely what? 6. And the reason why it's 6 is because plane A is the same as this plane right here.
Oh,
All right, they're the same plane. All right, that's why there's only 6.
How do you know it's not raised something?
Because it's gray.
you little trickster.
All right. All right, here we go. Name 3 collinear points. M, X, and S. N, R, S, W. Are they coplanar? See, this is what we're talking about, right? You should be able to look at that and say no, right? Yeah, W is above,
Oh,
right? So again, I just know it's difficult, so you have to be careful. N, R, and S is on the bottom, right? And W is on the top. Right, and I always remember finally figuring out that if you made everything like a 3-dimensional box, it was easier to tell. All right, so be careful, that's no. All right, W is not coplanar. W is not coplanar. What are you doing? All right, so I think that's good for me. All right, your job now is to go back and hopefully finish up 17 through 32. All right, 17 through 32. Yes, brilliant. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Stop. End.
have this.